if you own a business or you're looking at starting your business and you have a product or a video or anything that you want to go viral, this guy over here, he wrote the formula on how to make it go viral. He laid down 3 rules and he went into depth on each rule of how it can be applied to yourselves in order to make whatever thing you want tip the point.
So here we are. We're digging into the first of his 3 laws.
Yes.
In what makes an epidemic or your business or your marketing campaign or a trend tip.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite laws. Out of the 3, one of my favorites.
The few.
Yeah.
So what he has done is he recognizes that there are 3 types of individuals that really fall within the law of the few.
Yep.
And I feel like as we read through the next few pages, the true factor is either multiple people filling one of these roles or somebody having a little bit of all of those roles in themselves.
Yeah.
This book was written in 2020. So a lot of his factors of like being impressed with, it's spreading word of mouth. Think about, we could more than 10x information now with social media. I mean, more. Yeah. Like it's more like 10 million X.
Even here on YouTube. Yeah. I mean, and unfortunately, misinformation spreads too.
And he leans into that, right? So he digs into that it's not just what people say, but it's the right type of people saying the right type of things. And these 3 different people are connectors, mavens, and salesmen.
Yep.
So that's kind of what we're going to dig into with this chapter. So he starts first with connectors.
Yeah.
And he talks about, he kind of goes into this story, and I won't elaborate on it, but he has this really elaborate story of a gentleman who was a great example of somebody who is connected.
Yeah.
And I mean, just knows so many people. I mean, hundreds of people, and interacts with them. And he just, he knows a guy, right? And he doesn't do it. He does it, his example in here is like, he just does it because he enjoys meeting people and building new relationships, which I thought was really interesting. And then here, going back to Paul Revere, and William Dawes was his name. Okay. I hope I'm saying it right. And Dawes's information didn't spread. And the thought is, how connected was Paul Revere and how connected was Dawes? And that really was a factor. They had the same information that was actually devastating and terrifying. So why wasn't, and I think people see this all the time. How many of us have been, I have a great business idea, or I have and you try something and somebody else around the world or down the street or in another city tries it as well. You guys aren't connected at all. And theirs blows up. And you're like scratching your head.
Like, but man, I tried that too. Yes. I put it out there. I made videos on YouTube. I'm putting out the same content. Why isn't mine going viral and the other person is? And this is where we go into the connectors.
And their personality. Test was done where he sent, not the author, but whoever was running this test, sent a packet of letters to random people in Nebraska. And their challenge was to get their letters by mail to a place in Massachusetts or something on the East like Coast. That.
Yeah.
Yes, but without sending it direct. Like there were several parameters around it. It wasn't just as easy as sending it right to that office.
Yeah, you had to go through like 2 contacts or something. You had to send it.
Maybe it wasn't even by mail. Maybe it was a hand. So how far could you get it to one city and then another city, and who could get it?
Might have to reread
something
that
like
one.
That. But anyways, this is where the concept of 6 degrees of separation comes from.
You mean Kevin Bacon?
I was thinking that. When as I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, I used to play that game. That's so much fun. And then he like goes into, and that actually Kevin Bacon in Hollywood isn't as deep in the connectivity as other actors or actresses, mainly because of the types of roles. Well, he was younger when that game launched.
So just to back up a little bit to tell you guys, if you're not familiar with the game, 6 Ways to Kevin Bacon, right?
For those of you who are younger.
So pretty much it's just saying like 6 degrees. What was the law? He was saying 6 degrees of separation. So it's pretty much saying that we're all connected and we all know each other through 6 people. Okay, so I know Drew Barrymore only 6 people away. So if it's Kristin,
That
Kristin
I
knows
know somebody
someone,
and
and
that
that
person
person
knows
knows
someone.
somebody. And so through 6 people, I can get connected to Drew Barrymore. Well, there's a game also called Six Ways to Kevin Bacon, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that,
Something
right?
like that. And it's connecting him to other actors or actresses through the various movies they both have been in.
Exactly.
And it's fun. You really got to know your pop culture for that. I never did well with it. But
neither did I. But what he's trying to say as a connector is that you have a certain way about you that you don't do it consciously. You're not doing it as a way of manipulation. You're not even doing it for money. It is just your personality as part of, it's just part of who you are. And
never met a stranger.
Yeah, so
you talk to anybody.
Talk to anyone and continue to keep up with them. So it is about who you know, but it's really about who they know, right? So you can go and spread the word to 10 different people, but if those 10 different people, one of them is not a connector, your particular idea or whatever it is you're trying to convey will not go past those 10 people. But if you convey it to a connector, that connector will be like,
yes.
So if you have a product that you want to go viral, you have to look for the connectors. So the 80-20 rule, don't go after the 80%, go after the 20 connectors.
He says list 40 people you know, but it cannot be family members and it cannot be work, like people you work with.
Yeah. Outside acquaintances.
Yep. Acquaintances, friends, even.
Yeah.
And he even goes to describe once you have those 40, there is probably a common denominator of somebody who introduced you to those others.
Yeah, most definitely. Facebook kind of does that for you now. Go down your mutual friends list and you'll be able to figure out.
And it will recommend other people
exactly
based on who they're friends with.
Exactly. So if you want to launch a product, you know who to contact, right? Just go through your friends list and figure out how many mutual friends you have from that one person. That person's a connector.
Really, it's acquaintances that give you power.
Yeah.
Not friends, because friends, typically you call someone a friend because they're really tight within your circle.
Well, I guess I was saying friends now because on Facebook, they're all friends.
They're all
even acquaintances.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's true. I think of people that I'm friends with and we have a lot of similarity things, and that's why I consider them a friend. But acquaintances he basically says they tap into worlds that you're not normally part of.
Yep.
And that's why whoever has the most acquaintances really has the most power, meaning reach.
If you are a connector, you have that personality where you're very much trying to keep everyone happy and you collaborate easily enough on projects that it's easy for people to reach out to you for help or for you to approach that person for help without any hard feelings.
And get things accomplished because you know people who can help accomplish things and bring a team together for a greater good. The second person.
Yes.
The Maven. Mavens are the people who know the best way to they know how to get the best price on something, where to get the best deal, where the best location is, where the best something is. And in that way, I was thinking like Danny, right? Like he finds great deals. He sources things. Like thank God for his, savvy with things, like all the things we need for Saige and books and brews. Like
he goes down the rabbit hole of researching it. So if anything where it sparks his interest, again, it's coming from a point of wanting to help and collaborate, right? And in that connecting part, because part of the connectors, they want to help. So coming from the part of help, anything that sparks his interest, he goes down the rabbit hole.
So he's thoroughly
immersed and is saturated with all the knowledge.
Yeah. And then he helps others with that knowledge.
Yes.
And that's what he really describes that a maven is. It's not just about gathering information.
Yeah.
It's about helping somebody with that information.
Yeah.
Because people who are experts or aficionados, they just want all the information they can. Like he gave an example of like a car lover. Like they gather information about cars because they love cars and they'll tell you what they know, but they're talking about their passion for cars.
Yeah.
Whereas a maven will be like, well, this car is going to be best for you because of this in your lifestyle, this in for your budget, this in where you live and things like that.
Yeah.
I just think that's so interesting.
It fits him to a T, but
connector.
But to us as well, because we like to share our knowledge with others as well.
So mavens have the knowledge and the social skills to create word of mouth epidemics. Connectors are glue. Mavens are databanks.
Agreed.
I love that. But he said, connectors and mavens are not persuaders.
Ooh.
So that gets to our third person.
Okay.
salesmen will have the skills to persuade and take even when you're unconvinced of something,
Yeah.
convince you. And that's a salesperson. Now, the way Malcolm describes a successful salesperson, and I will agree, is they are usually very outgoing. They're very optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
They have a high level of energy. They have a charisma and a charm.
Yeah.
And they have an uncanny way of really reading nonverbal cues, not just the verbal cues.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them so successful. It's not just about knowing what to say and being persuasive about what you're talking about, but it's reading who you're talking to and maybe
Agreed.
slow. And he gives the example of somebody who was able to slow down his speech and speak with his southern drawl. And then sometimes he would come across very stern when something needed to really drive home a point, right?
Yeah.
So the salesmen are the ones that persuade.
Agreed. Now, he did mention that someone could be all three or parts, because I guess where I go is if you're a connector and you're automatically wanting to help someone, you're coming from a selfless point, right? Not selfish. And you have a lot of information. So you are a maven. Well, kind of you're naturally a connector, which means your personality matches ones that people are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And you already have the data to back up what you're talking about, you're going to kind of persuade them anyway. So they might naturally, in a way, be a salesman.
I'm going to challenge you on this.
What do you think?
Because I've been in the retail corporate sector for so long.
Okay.
And I have worked with individuals who are a social butterfly.
Uh-huh.
They come into work, everybody's happy to see them. Maybe they're even giving hugs to their employees. Maybe even some guests know them. And I also know people who are like, they are so analytical and amazing, and they just the way they can retain information, and that when they want to try to sell to someone, they're giving the facts about it.
Okay.
But that does not make them a successful salesperson.
Oh, no, I agree.
There's a finesse to be considered a salesperson. So yes, one person could be all three, but there you need that oomph for the salesman. And it's not everybody has it. And it's, I don't know. I don't think it's fair to say skill versus will, because I think some people want to be a good salesperson, and they will, when I encounter that, I will often give like even maybe a script of what to at least say.
Okay.
But if they just really can't read a customer's cue, then it can be really hard to go deeper and really
like that challenge. Yeah. I like that challenge. I guess because in my side, I've seen it differently. That typically, I'm my husband's biggest fan, by the way, because my husband is a natural salesman too. So he's a connector, a maven, and a salesperson. That's why I was like,
he has that canny though to read somebody's. Yeah. Not everybody who's in sales has that.
That's true. Can it be trained?
You know what? In 25, almost 30 years, I am still working on certain personalities on that breakthrough. They bring a lot of other good things to a leadership team, but that ability to just take a customer who is maybe distant and snooty or just, unreachable and break them down and get them to open up.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think there's also, you have to want it. And you have to have an element of optimism. You have to have if you don't,
I agree.
it won't happen.
That won't happen.
Yeah.
I really love it. I think this is a great way to wrap this up.
I completely agree. Yes.
It's so guys, if you can see, get to know your connectors, okay?
And your mavens.
And
the salespeople.
Oh,
you guys, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Please remember to like and subscribe.
Yes.
And share. We want to hear comments from you, but pass the love along, please. Somebody needs to hear this. We know that.
Share the love.
Share it. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, guys. Bye.